guys, it's JoJo, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about my interview. So, my partner Cynthia Pope and I went to Horace Mann Elementary School, which is an inner city St. Louis school that has a high ELL population and a high Muslim population specifically, which includes the Somali speaker fifth grader that we interviewed. He's the older brother of a fourth grade girl I had been working with for some time, so I just kind of wanted to switch things up and get the perspective of someone else in the family. And he and his sister are part of a big family. They also have a second grade and kindergarten younger brother who both go to the same school as well as a preschool younger brother and an infant sister. So there are 6 of them altogether. The children were all born here in America, but their parents moved from Somali, so they speak Somali at home. And then some of the questions we asked were, for the main idea of funds of knowledge, what have your parents taught you that has been helpful in school, and what special knowledge or skills do you have because of being Somali that maybe some of your classmates don't? And then for the main idea developmental stages, we asked, how do you feel you've gotten better at English since kindergarten, and what do you feel is still difficult for you when it comes to English? And then for Bix Calp main idea, we asked, what do you most like to talk about with your friends, which is the hardest for you about English, listening, speaking, reading, or writing? Do you find English more difficult in class than you do speaking it with your friends? And since your schooling has been in English, do you find spelling easier in English or Somali? And then for the main idea of Krashen's hypotheses, for the learning acquisition hypothesis, we asked, did you have to try to purposely learn Somali, and what about English? For the natural order hypothesis, we asked, tell me about the English mistakes you hear your younger siblings make. For the monitor hypothesis, we asked, how do you correct or revise your own work? And for the input hypothesis, we asked, what do you do when you do not understand what the teacher is talking about? And then for the effective filter hypothesis, we asked him to tell us about his moods and how they influence his academic performance. And lastly, for the main idea of theories of acquisition, for the focus on child theories, we asked, do you remember when you started to speak English as much as you spoke Somali? For the focus on environment theories, we asked, do you feel English is easier to understand when the discussion is a topic that you enjoy? And lastly, for the focus on linguistics theories, we asked, how do you help yourself remember the English words that you use? So those were the questions we asked. And then as far as the human aspect of Amir's experience in learning English, I learned quite a few things. I learned that he was born in America and he behaves just like any other 5th grade boy that was born in America would. He's into American things. He likes baseball. His favorite TV show is The Flash, and he and his younger brothers like to watch YouTube channels that they subscribe to, so really just like any other 5th grader. I also learned that pretty much only Somali is spoken at home, but he and his sister don't really have any Somali literacy. They can't read or write in Somali at all. So that was interesting to me. I didn't really expect that. I learned that their parents, which I kind of already knew from his younger sister, but their parents, especially their dad, are very involved and very focused on them doing well in school and learning English. He even went so far as to buy DVDs for them to watch when they were younger on learning English. So that's good to have an involved parent like that. I also learned that he pretty much only spoke Somali until kindergarten, and that's when the development really started, when he joined school in kindergarten. And lastly, for this level, the human aspect, I learned that it's a lot easier for him to do the receptive skills such as hearing and listening and reading, more so than it is for him to do expressive skills like writing and speaking, which I think is common for a lot of ELLs. And then for level 2, about what ideas tied into the main ideas. As far as funds of knowledge, Amir did seem very proud of his bilingualism. He did see it as a fund of knowledge, as an asset, and as something beneficial. He expressed to me that he can use his Somali with other Somali speakers and with people in general to translate, and he saw that as a good thing. Another thing that tied into the main ideas was that writing is harder academically than it is casually and speaking casually. He definitely confirmed our Bix and Calp idea that students develop Bix a lot quicker than they develop Calp proficiency. Another thing that he said was that he really didn't have to try to learn Somali. It was just kind of natural, whereas he had to try and focus on learning English, which confirms the learning versus acquisition hypothesis of second language learning. And lastly, under this level, he also confirmed the effective filter hypothesis. He told us that it's very hard for him to focus when he's in a bad mood, and it completely ruins things for him. And he tries to block it out, but that it makes it harder to focus. So that was also interesting. And then lastly, some questions that emerged for me after completing this interview are, first of all, I know that first language support and in his case, Somali support is very crucial for second language acquisition because students rely on their first language when they're learning their second. But I'm wondering how practical that is for most teachers in the classroom, especially if you're not an ELL specialist. How do mainstream teachers try to accommodate all the languages, first of all, that their ELLs speak, and then try to make time for their native speakers and their ELLs? I'd find that pretty difficult to have that first language support because like he and his sister have no Somali literacy at all. So I was wondering how and when to incorporate that kind of thing. Another question I have is Amir and his sister's parents are pretty involved and interested in the school, and they know that they can come and participate. His ELL teacher said that their parents are there for almost every event. But what about when you have students whose parents are not involved or who may not be as good at English and are shy to participate? How do you encourage them to participate and encourage them to become involved and let them know they're welcome to become involved? What are some ways you can reach out to the parents that are like that? So that's all I have for you, and thanks for watching. Bye.